So I've been in the high ticket sales space for about 6 months and my life has changed quite a lot, right? Obviously, I'm not in the position where I want to be in yet, but the direction that I'm heading towards, it's a lot more promising, right? So 6 months ago, I was working at a grocery store. I was going to raves, a lot of raves, I was really gambling my money on trading, right? So I was also a day trader back then. I was trading funded accounts with Forex, futures, all that stuff, right? So I've been doing that for about 4 years. So I started trading back when I was in high school. So I was around 14, 15 when I first started. And I came into the trading with the idea that, oh, maybe the more trades I put in, the more money I'm going to make. And based off what I was seeing on social media, it made it seem like it was so easy to make money with trading. And to an extent, yes, that is true because you don't necessarily have to put in that much work to it. But one of the main things I didn't know was that in order to be successful in trading, you need to know when to step back and wait for the right opportunity, right? For me, the idea of having to just sit back and wait for opportunities was not something that sat well with me because for me personally, I was always more of someone that if I really wanted to get into something, knowing that I could get results, such as making money with it, then I would put in effort into it every single day, right? So with that trading, it wasn't that. I came into the markets always executing positions, even though the setup wasn't the best because all I wanted was to make money, right? So that's one thing. And for 4 years, that cycle of me, right after high school, I actually dropped out. I ended up working at a couple of grocery stores, pretty much full time working at grocery stores as a cashier, as a bagger, as a supervisor. And I also worked in sales and supplements, right? So that to me, having to show up every day, working 8, 9 hours of my day to simply fund this gambling addiction of mine, right? That I had no control over, right? Which was trading. For 4 years, that cycle of just losing a funded, buying another funded, losing the funded, and then working my ass off to get another funded, and the cycle over and over and over, while at the same time I was working a 9 to 5. So that really was, it took me 4 years to realize that I was actually just running on a hamster wheel, right? So not necessarily escaping the matrix, right? But that's one of the main things. And for me, it wasn't until 6 months ago where I realized, this isn't something I want to do anymore. I needed to find something that I could put work in every single day to improve. And eventually over time, I build myself a valuable skill, a high income skill where I could start generating money without having to gamble my money. And at the time, I really reached a low point where I was really just crying in my room. And I just realized how much of a shitty life I was living. And at that point, really, I'm not a very religious type of person, right? I believe that there is a greater being out there. I know that there is a God that exists. But to me, I never really identified myself with any religion specific. But I could consider myself more of a follower of Christ, right? But when it comes down to that, right, I spoke to God for the first time in so long, right? I was just a shitty person in general. And I cried to him, just telling him everything. I said out loud, I hate the person I am. Just everything that was wrong about me, I brought it up. And it wasn't in alignment with the person I wanted to become later on, right? So I asked him to give me courage. I asked him to give me strength, help me succeed, right? Of course, I didn't know what really I was doing. But next day I reached out to who would be the person who would be my mentor, Elijah. So I'm pretty much out with him and his other closer in this really sick Airbnb here in Quebec. So that's one thing. But I think when I made that decision to leave trading, a skill that I've been working on for years, and pivot to a different niche, which was high ticket sales, right? That to me, it was scary because there was a lot of uncertainty. I didn't know what I was going to expect. But in that moment, I decided to just put my head down, put in the work, show up every day. And eventually, things just clicked in. I started having closed sets as a setter, right? And I started making money. And slowly by slowly, I started reducing my hours at work. And just like 2 months ago, I decided to leave my job and pursue high ticket sales full time. And ever since then, I've been having record months of $3,000 a month, $4,000 a month. And right now I am projecting at $5,000 a month. So the idea that I'm able to make 3 to 5K on a monthly basis consistently without having to show up at work is it's unreal for me, because I never would have thought that I would have ended up here in sales or ever ended up in the online space in general, right? I always felt like I was just made for like working a 9 to 5. Maybe I was just made to live a mediocre life, right? Having to clock in every single day, living the same cycle of gambling my money to funded accounts, gambling my money to trading, right? The markets, and refunding that with the money I was getting off my grocery job. And keep in mind, I wasn't even in school. So that's one thing. But really, over the past 6 months, a lot has changed. I've met a lot of great people here in the same niche as me as well. As I've came across a lot of great people, provided me a lot of value, and helped me in some way get to where I am at, right? And I'm extremely grateful for that. And looking back at that time where I was just completely lost, I was just going to raves, just partying. I was doing a lot of urban exploring too. So I would just go to random abandoned buildings, explore that, go on the rooftops, and stuff that was just out of my character, right? And I just knew that I just had to sit back, reflect on who I was and the person I wanted to become, and ask myself, is the person that I am right now really in alignment with the person I want to become later down the line? And the moment you realize that, and the weight of that level of thinking really hits you, that's when you actually start taking the steps, right? Because the weight of that thinking really hits you, and it pushes you to put in the work into something, right? Such as me getting into high ticket sales. So that's one thing. So as of right now, really, I'm extremely grateful for the position that I am, and I'm extremely thankful to God, right, for everything that's been going on. But aside from that, the past 6 months, I've been putting in the work, refining my skills, and it's gotten me to a position where I have freedom. I don't have a nice house. Of course, this is just a nice Airbnb, but I don't have the nice cars. I don't have a nice watch, right? But what I do have is freedom, right? So I can just show up to work, put in hours, maybe 4 to even 5 hours of my day into this, and then pretty much the rest of my day is just free. I can go to the gym, I can hang out with friends, I can just have time to myself where I don't have to worry about clocking and working in for someone making $15 an hour or $16 an hour, which I think is the minimum wage here in Quebec now. Now, with that being said, what I want you to take out of this is a lot of the times that we feel like we're stuck in some sort of loophole, a hamster wheel, right? And it's really just taking a moment to stop, reflect on who you are, who do you actually want to be, and from there, asking yourself, is the person that I am right now, is that person in alignment with who I want to become later down the line? It could be a year from now, 2 years from now, even 6 months from now, right? So I think reflection is a very important thing, but as well as when you finally realize who you want to be and you realize you have to make a shift, you take that shift, right? From someone who was just gambling on trading, who was just clocking in 9 to 5, I just felt tired, I felt dreaded, right? So realizing that it's as easy as just pivoting, find something different, try something else, right? Create a blueprint and plan out, and then once you have all that plan, take action. Simple as that. Of course, it's a lot easier said than done, but I guess everyone's case is different, right? So it's not going to be the same for everyone. But believe me when I say this, if you put your mind into something, if you really go all at it, a lot can change. And of course, I may not be in the position I want to be in right now, but like I said, it's just like I've never would have dreamed being in such a position where I've met such great people. I am in a position where I'm able to live free financially, right? And not have to worry about the bills picking up. Of course, I'm only 21 years old. I still live with my parents. But there's a certain level of freedom that I'm getting at this age that I'm at a position where I can just build this up over time. And that gives me a lot more leverage to eventually, when I move out or later down the line, right, I'm able to have my own place, right? I have that freedom where I don't have to worry about things eating me up in the long term, or such as bills, right? And that's one thing. So really, that's one of the main things. I don't know. I feel like I'm lost in thought. Anyways, aside from that, I think I hope this. I think you should really, at least I guess for those of you watching, just really stop hesitating. The more you let fear take over, right? I had that fear of just taking that step, and the more we let fear, the more we let the idea of comfort, right? If we continue to tolerate that life, then you can't expect to grow, right? You can expect to continue living in that hamster wheel, right? And then ultimately, you have to ask yourself this: why do you tolerate settling for less, knowing that you're worth more, right? Why are you tolerating settling for working a job, knowing that you're only getting paid for your time and not for your efforts? Why would you tolerate that? Right? Ask yourself, why am I tolerating this life, knowing knowing that I'm potentially worth more, right? So that's one of the main things. All right, so same day booking, just had a closed set for 5K. My sales manager is right upstairs. I'm gonna go tell him about it. Yo, Elijah, did you see the 5K close, bro?
I did, bro.
Yes, sir.
Good stuff, bro.
Yes, sir, bro. Let's fucking go, bro.
Just reading some contracts that guy's closing.
Nice, bro. Well, we made it back home, made it back safe. It's now Friday, the 13th. So that's one thing. It's crazy because, like I said, I just got back and I was looking at the numbers from the past month, and funny enough, from last month in January, I didn't make any money, right? At the beginning of January, I didn't make any money until January 9, right? So January 9 is when I had my first close set of the month, and I was going through the numbers over the past week, right? And up till February 9th, unfortunately, I didn't end January off at 5K, right? But funny enough, how much I made from January 9th to February 9th. So I pretty much made 3.785K in commissions, USD, right? Converting that into Canadian, right? That brings 5.1K that I've made within the last month, from the 9th of January to the 9th of February. Now, that, to be honest, honestly, making 5K in a month is just unreal. It's not something I would have thought I would ever hit. Like, I've never actually hit this type of number. And with that, I celebrated pretty much having my cigar session. And I don't normally smoke, right? I don't smoke at all. It's my first time. But when I first got into this, I made it my goal to, make 5K commissions before I smoke a have that cigar. I felt like, honestly, bro, it was nice. It was really nice. And there's more to come. Every achievement, it's unreal. It's really unreal, and I'm super happy that I've come across such great people. I've grown so much as well as a person, and life for me has, like I mentioned, has changed so much. I'm so thankful to God, right, that I'm in the position where I have more freedom, right? I may have escaped that 9 to 5 life, but I'm still working on greater things, right? And that's what I'm doing, keeping at it, work every single day, and knowing that for sure with God's help, anything is possible. Anything is possible. But that, I just got home, just had another call. Of course, she was a DQ, right? But yeah, good stuff. Just today, last day of the week. I'm supposed to be dialing today, but I told Elijah if I can have the day off just because I got hardly any sleep because we had to leave so early this morning. But yeah, man, like I think what I'm gonna do right now is just start editing the videos. After that, I'm gonna with my boy, who's also in high ticket. He's a new setter, right, in this space. I'm not sure what offer he's in, but yeah, we're gonna grind the rest of our day. I'm just gonna get settled in with all of my luggage, and yeah, we're back home. Good to be home, and it's time to get back into the routine. Time to really get back at it, grinding. Putting in the inputs, doubling my inputs. That's goal this month. Doubling my inputs, right? Going above KPI and having a set schedule, going to the gym a lot more consistently. That's what I need. There's no excuse. Gotta get to work, so let's do it.